if you're sitting there right now and you're going through something and you're like, man, this is just so unfair. Why does life have to be so hard on me? How come this always happens to me? How come I'm so unlucky? How come things don't go my way? Why does this have to happen to me? And transparently, I was one of these people. When my father passed away, I was like, why does this have to happen to me? How could this happen to me? Why am I the one that has to see their father pass away? And I'll tell you right now, it's the worst mindset to have. It's a wrong mindset. It's a losing mindset. It's a weak mindset. Life gets harder as you get older. That's just how it is. And anybody that's telling you that it gets easier is literally lying to you, or they're steering you in the wrong direction. Life does not get easier. What happens is that you become more tough. You become more disciplined. You become stronger. And so you're able to endure a lot more as life progresses. Let me break it down for you. When you start off as a child, life is easy. You don't know what's going on. Your childhood is filled with happiness. You have your parents that love you, and everything is wonderful. Now, some of you might say, oh, I had a terrible childhood. I had a traumatic childhood. Good. I'm going to get to that in a second. That's even better. I hate to say it, but it's even better. When you go through your happy childhood, really around your teenage and early adolescent years is where you start to encounter difficulty. You start getting hit with social hierarchy. There's popular kids, there's unpopular kids, there's bullying. I mean, kids are very, very honest and very, very cruel. Kids will tell you straight up that you're ugly, you're not it, you're a loser. Kids will say that stuff. Adults, it's different. Adults do it in closed conversations, and they do it by exclusion. Kids will do it straight up to your face. And so it has to toughen you up. It has to make you stronger. That's really the first difficulties that you encounter in life. People just not including you in things. People just being too cool for you. You not being accepted. That's a huge part of being a human being accepted, being placed in social hierarchy. And biologically, evolutionary, this is where we start to actually reproduce. Nowadays we're reproducing at 20, 25. People are saying, oh, I want to have kids at 30. Like, that's so far off the path of biology. Not saying that 13 and 15-year-olds should have kids, but this is really where you're biologically designed to reproduce. And this is historically where a lot of people reproduced back in the day when they were 15, 16, 17, around that age. People reproduced around these ages. And so you start to really get in that mindset of, hormonal drive to reproduce. You start being able to evaluate and look at hierarchy in order to understand, who is actually beneficial for you to reproduce with and who is not. Really important for you to understand this in a biological sense, in an evolutionary sense, in a reproduction-based aspect. But obviously in today's society that's very socially based, we're not looking to reproduce at 15, 16 years old. Even though we might feel like we want to, we're not doing that. So then after your adolescence, you're looking at being accepted into college universities, and that's even a bigger step in life. That's way more serious than being bullied at 13 or 14 years old. Like, how are you going to really create the rest of your life? Are you going to college? Are you not going to college? These decisions are very difficult. The pressure is immense. And then after you get into college, you get over that hurdle. You're now put in the real world where you have to pay for your bills. You now owe money to a car company because you financed a car, and you have to owe money to a bank because you took a loan, and it becomes very difficult. You have to pay back student debt. Life just gets harder and harder. Then when you're 25, 26, you have to think about marriage and the future of your life and family, and it's really hard in today's dating market. I deal with young people all the time that are just so lost in today's dating landscape, and I don't blame them because it's a whole different arena now. And now you're moving forward from that. Maybe you found somebody, and you're now 30, 35, and you're raising a kid and a family and all that stuff. And it's about the safety of your child. Like, everything that you're doing in your life now is for your child, and they're crying and they're pooping and it's just a lot of work. It just gets more and more intense as you get older in life. When your kids become 10 years old, 15-year-olds, now you got to worry about them getting into drugs, going to parties, doing this, doing that. Like, it's a headache. Then your kids have to go to college. Boom, you've got to pay thousands of dollars for them to go to university, and you have to kind of guide them and make sure they don't mess their life up when they're partying at a 4-year university, or if they want to go get a job somewhere, make sure they're not throwing their life away. I mean, it just gets more and more difficult. And at this point, you're probably encountering health problems. You're probably dealing with things that you have to deal with as a person that's getting closer to the end of their life. You're thinking about different things. Your processes in life are just much more calculated. Life gets harder. And so let me circle back here for a second. For the people that have had tough childhoods, difficult childhoods, your childhood is a period of life where you're really designed to be happy. You're in bliss. And that's wonderful. But that doesn't last forever, and it's not supposed to last forever. But for those of you that had tough childhoods, that's a good thing, because if you don't have trauma as a child, if you don't have difficulty or you don't face difficulty, you really become spoiled. And I think the period of about 12 to 21 is very, very important to solidify the mindset that you need for dating, relationships, and really how you're going to process the world. If you don't have adversity and trauma here, you just become very unequipped to deal with trauma that life is going to throw you. You have to continuously self-inflict trauma upon yourself in preparation for trauma that's going to come to you in life. And as a child, we're not really good at coaching ourselves and self-inflicting trauma. So if life does not naturally do that for us, we just become sitting ducks when things become hard. You can tell when someone had a really good childhood and they haven't gone through any problems because mommy and daddy were always there. And you can really just see who's going to rise up and who's not. Versus the person that had a difficult childhood, had to go through some things, had to fight for everything that they have. They're going to put in the work and go above and beyond because they've already been through adversity. Simple stuff here. So you're actually born with an edge when you go through difficult things as a child, and you're already more in the process of dealing with things. And you may grow up a little bit earlier, but that's just what it is. Life is not fair. Life is not easy. Life does not get easier. What has to happen is that you have to become more mentally disciplined, more tough, more rigorous in your method to becoming a better person, and more difficult to really kill. You have to become just bulletproof. That is the only way to beat life. Instead of saying, oh, can things get easier? It's about you saying, how can I become tougher? How can I become stronger? How can I not break under pressure? How can I not give up when things get hard? Stop trying to make life easier, because when things are easier, things aren't going to reward you as much. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And a lot of people will go for those easy situations and easy circumstances only to find out the reward is not really that high. What did you expect? It's easy to do. If you want a job that's fun and fulfilling and, it's just something that you really enjoy doing, I'm going to break it to you. Like, it's probably not going to pay you that much. It's probably not going to give you a lot back. But if you work in an industry or a career that's difficult, that's filled with adversities and obstacles and challenges on a day-to-day basis, that is really high stress, you're going to receive a larger financial reward. And that can be then invested into businesses and different metrics that allow you to retire early. And that's one strategy, right? If you want to go the easy route, if you want to live an easy life, if you're comfortable and content, I am not here to say, hey, you're not allowed to do that. You're allowed to do whatever you want. You don't even have to listen to me. I appreciate you listening to me, but you don't have to. You don't have to listen to anything that I say. It's your life. If you want to go down the path of picking the high-stress job, that's another thing in itself. Like, just make sure that you're not breaking under that pressure. Make sure that you're constantly strengthening yourself, and make sure that you're using the money that you make at that job to reinvest into some kind of sustainable business to where you can then offset that income when you decide to step out of it. Many of those high-stress jobs don't have any end. There's no point or checkpoint where you're like, okay, I'm done now. I'm out of it. It's just more and more and more and more stress. And as you get older, your ability to really withstand that can also decrease. So for example, for me in finance and what I do, it's a high stress job. It's an intense job. But I've used my money wisely to invest into other businesses to where if I were to walk away from it right now, I have income that's going to just take care of me. God forbid if something were to happen to me or I wanted to step away. That's a smart way to do it. And for me, that's what I want, because I want to live the good life. I want to be able to travel. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't want to be restricted. But there's definitely people out there in the world, once again, that don't want to deal with the stress up front. And it's not that they're necessarily not as good as me. It's just that they chose something else. They don't want to deal with it. And what they're going to get is the work that they put in. Don't ever be upset about the results that you don't have from the work that you didn't put in. So for all the people out there that are looking at people that are rich and successful saying, oh, like, I could never do that. Oh my God, he must be so lucky. They put in the work to get there. Or their ancestors put in the work for them to get there. The rich dad and rich mommy, like, you don't be mad at that. They put in the work. They're blessed. It's just how life works. There are some people that were born in a better financial situation than me, and God bless them for it. Great for them. Wonderful. But I had to work for what I had, and I never look at it as like, wow, this is just so bad. This is just so unequal. I'm so blessed to be able to have not gotten those things because it taught me how to create it on my own instead of relying on it from somebody else. And that's where I keep my pride, I keep my dignity, and I feel so much more fulfilled in the income that I bring in because I know it's 100% from the things that I have done in my life. So, moral of this episode here, life is not hard. You're listening to this on a smartphone. You probably have 2 hands, 2 legs, and you have food in the fridge, you have water coming out the sink, you have shelter. If you have these things, look, you are beyond blessed. You are beyond blessed. Even if you have a missing arm, even if you have a missing leg, if you're just able to think and just have your conscious operating smoothly, you are blessed. The mind is a very powerful thing. You have the ability nowadays to learn a language and outsource work. You have the ability today to just do anything online and to learn from YouTube University. We live in an age where information is just given out for free. I don't know how long this will last. Take advantage of the situation and the time that you're in. Instead of going out to concerts and partying and drinking and doing drugs and hanging out with friends that aren't bettering you, focus on building yourself into the best person that you possibly can be in order to combat the difficulty that life is just naturally going to throw at you. Stop complaining about things and start doing things, because nothing changes if nothing changes. I appreciate you guys for checking in with me today. It means a lot that you spent this amount of time with me. You could be doing anything else in the world, but you decided to spend it with me, so that means so much to us here at the ThoughtCast team. If you guys ever want to connect with me, just shoot me a DM on social media. It's really easy to get a hold of me. Shout out to K&D for sponsoring this podcast, for allowing us to film this content and bring it to you guys here in live fashion. And until next time, guys, Sumi out.